Hello, people. What is going on? Thursday night preview with me, James, Lucas, and Jay. Yeah, and we're here to talk about West Ham United versus Aston Villa. The Premier League is back. Jay, how are you doing, mate?
Oh, you said it, mate. The Premier League is back at last. The drought is over. We get our beautiful West Ham super team finally lining up together. So I am buzzing, mate. How are you, boys?
We're all buzzing with you. I must admit, I agree. Lucas, how are you doing in the US?
I'm good. Beautiful day outside. Feels good. Prem's going to be back tomorrow, and normally we get a nice little crappy match to start things off, but I'm actually really buzzing for Fulham United. I think it'll be a nice little teaser for what's to come this weekend.
Yeah, I agree, mate. Before we get started on this video, smash a like on the video. Get me to 100 likes tonight. I'm seeing everyone else getting 100 likes, and we're getting about 70 odd. You know what I mean? Come on, give us 100 likes. Right, Aston Villa, tough opening game. Yeah, Jay, what do you make of Unai Emery's Aston Villa, mate?
Yeah, obviously they're off the back of a really strong season, aren't they? They were a surprise package. They held on for Champions League football, and obviously us three plus Jamie have spoken a lot this week, and we've waxed lyrical about them. I make them a good side. They've recruited well. We obviously talked about some of their signings. They're up there as probably next best after us in terms of transfer activity, and they've just got a really, really good side. So we're in for a tough game, I think. Yeah, we're in for a tough game, mate.
Lucas, what are you saying about Villa, mate?
Yeah, I don't like shying away from talking about Villa. I really like Villa. I like seeing clubs like them in Newcastle, and hopefully us this season like break in to the mold. So you'll never see a hater out of me in that proponent. But yeah, it's going to be a real tough game. I rate Villa highly. I think Emery has been honestly one of the best things that's happened to him. Selling Grealish for 100 million odd, and then getting Emery could not have been more perfect for him. And like Jay said, coming off the back of a strong season, I feel like they're going to be a bit sad that they didn't come away with a trophy. But then again, they've got Champions League football. Some fans are different. Like me personally, I'd rather get the silverware than finish top four, because I feel like I know what's going to come anyway if we were to get top four somehow. But again, all aspirations and whatnot are different. But it's going to be a tough match. I know Villa have had a pretty bad preseason from what I've seen, but again, you can't really put your full judgment into that. So it'll be a tough one for us.
Are you boys surprised by Villa? Because I am to a point. When I look at Aston Villa, and I remember a few years ago that they was with us trying to stay in the league, and they come to the LS in the final day.
They should have been relegated. They
should have been relegated because of goal line technology was failing.
And we decided not to have a VAR that day.
Yeah,
that was the excuse, which is crazy.
Somehow they stayed up, right?
Fortune's always hiding, eh?
Are you surprised, Jade, that the Villa's sort of progression so fast?
I kind of am, but I'm kind of not. I mean, when you look back at the sort of Steven Gerrard era, they had prolifically spent every summer, and they're not short of a few quid. So they've been doing what we've done this summer, but over the course of probably about maybe 4 or 5 years.
People forget they came in with like a Chinese like super billionaire.
Yeah.
So
who was the Coutinho? They signed Coutinho out of nowhere just because Gerrard was there. All right, he had about 3 good games and then he flopped, and he's been loaned out here, there, and everywhere ever since. But it's a statement of the fact that they've got loads of money and they have prolifically spent and built that squad over a little while. And we know that I think we've learned that Gerrard was never really up to it in the Premier League. He dominated with that Rangers side, but came to the Prem and got found out a bit. But they had a good side there. And I think the thing that we take away, and one of the reasons I'm so optimistic for West Ham season, is we've seen that it seems Spanish managers seem to come into this league and do really well. You look at
Hmm.
Pep, you look at Arteta, you look at Emery, and now we've got Lopetegui, who came in with Wolves and did really well. There seems to be something in the way that football is being played in Spain at the moment that has meant La Liga is getting stronger. Spanish teams tend to do, well, not Spanish teams, Real Madrid do really well in Europe. I won't dish the credit out to everyone else. It's basically Real Madrid. But the Spanish way seems to be doing really well. So it's not really that much of a surprise when you look at the DNA of the way Emery plays. So, yeah, I think it would look like a surprise having a team break the top four. But when you actually break it down, it's not that surprising for me.
Lucas, what are you saying about that? Like, are you surprised by Villa?
Areola as well at Bournemouth, decent. But no, I totally agree. My only concern with going forward with Lopetegui is the only thing I hope is that there's some solidity within the lineup, because, well, having a great 11 on paper is all well and good. The team at the end of the day needs to be balanced. And I think that's what Emery, Pep, Arteta, and I want to say Areola. It's so hard, but Areola, I think it is. Their teams are balanced. I think he might be the only one out of the ones, disregard Lopetegui, the only ones that plays a bit more attack. And I think all the others are just so solid, and they have the balance to be solid, stick back, or go forward. And with Lopetegui, I'm just hoping we have that, at least, not just full out attack. We blitz teams. I know a lot of people would like to see that after what we've been used to the past 4 years, but that's not always the best way, in my opinion. So for me, I just hope he does start to break into that mold of Spanish managers, having a good all-around mindset when it comes to tactics instead of just one way to play.
I understand what you're saying, but I think with Lopetegui, I think he's getting given the players that he requires, basically. I don't think Stein's just going out and picking people out. I think Lopetegui's saying, I need this sort of type of player, and signing off on what Stein's doing. For me, obviously the jury's out, but we don't know. Like, every West Ham fan does not know what we're going to expect. Yeah. I think the hype is real. I'm seeing it on TikTok. I'm seeing it on Twitter. I'm seeing it on YouTube. Everyone is buzzing for the season, including myself. Yeah. And I'm all for that. But like you say, once Saturday comes, I'm going to be judging it game by game. And I think that's the right thing to do. You've got to judge it game by game and see how things are going in game and etc. The better CV, lads, Emery or Lopetegui?
Emery for me.
Is it Emery for you? Yeah. What are you saying, Jay?
Probably Emery as well.
Not by much, though. Not by much. But in terms of the CV and then what you see on the pitch, I think Emery's clear.
I think just something to throw out there as well when we talk about Lopetegui's CV. We can't forget he was undefeated as Spain manager. He was 20-something games with no defeats and only left that job quite like bad circumstances right before the Euros, I think it was, when Real Madrid come calling. And we know that didn't go well, but how many teams in the Premier League currently are bossed by someone who has gone undefeated as Spain manager, who are one of the best national teams of our generation, and managed Real Madrid as well? So, it's difficult to say. I actually don't know a lot of what Emery did before his time at Arsenal. But you look at what Lopetegui's done, and you have to be impressed. And I wanted to just cover the point that you had made, Lucas, in that going for that kind of solid base, but also quite fluid attacking football is some of the philosophy that Lopetegui has kind of built.
I think that's what makes Spanish managers great.
Yeah. 100%. That is the philosophy, right? You look at and that's probably why that Spain team is so good as well. You look at the job that Rodri does. Yeah. Like, that is exactly what Spanish managers do. They are sensible, but they play football in such a fluid and such a beautiful way that, you know, I think if that's what you're looking for from West Ham, then I think you're going to be, other than you calling Lopetegui yesterday, which I'm still shocked by the way. Other than you calling Lopetegui, I think you're going to be quite happy. I did want to quickly go back. I think it was Ian who put something in chat that you just put on the screen, which was about Villa. Villa have always been a top side. like that's a really, really good point, right? And I just have this memory of last season, Villa were at home in the Conference League, and there was a camera, like a TNT Sports camera going round. I think it was maybe the semi-final, and it was asking various fans, it was, what would you rather, finish fourth or win the Conference League? And all the older heads who have been through the pain and never seen Villa win a trophy in their lifetime were all saying, you know, they were thinking about it really hard, but we're all going win the Conference League. And all the young kids who all they know is like all of their mates who are glory hunters are talking about the Champions League, and they watch the Champions League and it's the elite competition. All of them are going, nah, stuff that. I'd rather be in the Champions League. But to the point, isn't that like the problem with modern day football fans? And that's the problem with a lot of Villa fans who are denying the fact that it would have been unbelievable to see their team lift that trophy, and have kind of shat on a little bit like our achievement of winning the Conference League. And it comes from a place of jealousy. If you've never seen your team lift a trophy in your lifetime, you have to prioritize winning that silverware.
I agree.
So like, to Ian's point of having seen Villa be a top side, Villa fans can't lean on that. That does not make you like a big club in modern day. It means your club's got history, but you have to prioritize that silverware for me. Like
because what happened to Newcastle could easily happen to Villa, in my opinion. Like, yes, I'd be absolutely buzzing if West Ham finished top 4 and we got Champions League, and to be at a match and hear the music, hear the walkout would be tremendous, and it would last a lifetime with me. But to me, it would all vanish pretty quickly if we got grouped and we didn't advance. So for me, give me Prague all day long. And again, even with Villa, they tried and they didn't succeed. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I just think the whole stipulation around the Conference League is a bit of a joke. Like, it's still I still think it's a good European competition. Once you get to like the quarters, it eats up.
I agree with what you just said though. Give me Prague any day. Like, give us something that where if West Ham was to qualify for the Conference League again, right, and we won it again, I'd take that all day long. Do you know what I'm saying? I think we've got to know where we're at. Like, West Ham going from 9th to Champions League is a massive like thing, and Villa's going to find that out.
And I think us and Villa we're sort of in the same boat right now, where I think both of us, we do have the right for bigger aspirations and to push on from where we ended last season before, whatever. Because we both, especially Villa, they got a great squad. They've added great signings, in my opinion, and I think they will push on. And I don't think they'll get grouped like Newcastle.
Here's a quick question that I asked, maybe a question for you boys and one for chat, because I'm actually interested to understand people's opinions on this. I think I asked you this like a couple of weeks ago, James, but if we were to win the League Cup, what's the lowest league position that you would accept West Ham finishing in like 17th. A hypothetical situation? Yeah?
I wouldn't accept 17th.
This is the thing. I'm interested to know, and I'm interested in what chat's opinion is as well. But yeah, what would you say, James?
I'm going to say 12th. I think 12th. I think a mid-table, like 12th, 14th, around that area. Where we finished with Moyes when we won the conference, we finished 14th. Yeah. For me, I don't think it. You've got to have a standard at West Ham. That's one thing I've got to say. Like, I think we've set a standard of top 10. Us dropping down to 16th, it isn't good enough. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Because like, it's a luck of a draw. Like, and when people say about, we was favourites to win the conference, no other fucking English teams won the conference yet.
They probably expected us to lose a couple matches as well along the way, but we didn't. So
yeah, so like for me, if West Ham was to go and win the League Cup and finish 12th, but they were playing decent football, and you can see like it all coming together, right? Yeah, I think that's acceptable. But I think anything lower than that, it's not. Realistically,
in the eyes, like, I'll try and put myself in like a football professional's point of view. So like, as a fan, like the question you just asked me, I would easily take 17th in a League Cup, because I think that kind of just washes out. Like, the feeling of winning another trophy and we get back into Europe erases league form for me. But in the eyes of a football professional, I think what Fever said is spot on. I think somewhere like mid-table, let's say, I would say like 11th to 15th, you can maybe, I don't know. In a football professional's point of view, it probably does seem a bit unacceptable either way, but I'm not one. And as a fan, if I get to see us lift another trophy, I'll take that all day long as it doesn't cost us league status. So
what is the what's the line for you, Jay? Like where do you draw the line and say, right, that's acceptable and that's unacceptable for you?
I think it's a really tough one, because I think I've said, for anyone who's like watched the last few times that I've been chatting with you boys, I've said that for me, there's gonna be a period of time where we're bedding in, and I think it's 6 to 10 games where expect it to be turbulent. Expect us to, when we're playing out from the back, as we've seen in pre-season, the only thing I think you can carry on into the season is the goals we conceded were individual mistakes from learning the new way of playing, right? And that will continue. So I expect us after 6 to 10 games to be somewhere in the bottom half, maybe like 13th, 14th. But I do fully have faith in Lopetegui turning it round and bringing us back up the table. I think if we finished, and I think I've changed my mind on this, because when we first spoke about this, James, this was pre the massive signing rampage that Tim Steidman. Yeah. You look at the squad we've got now versus the squad we had 3 weeks ago. It's a completely different game we're talking about now. And instead of us going, oh, we should finish top half and maybe have a run at European football and that would be a good season, I look at it now, as I briefly said yesterday, and as I've said in a few things I've posted on Twitter, like, I make us one of the favourites to finish top 6, and with a fair wind, granted everything's got to go our way, we'll be challenging for that top 4. And people, again, something that frustrates me, right? And I know where it comes from. It comes from a place of hurt, when people don't want to acknowledge that we've actually got a really serious squad at the moment. But this isn't a new phenomenon for West Ham, right? You look in the last 10 seasons, 15, 16, we bottled 4th. Yeah. We were up there all season, and we lost 4-1 at home to Swansea, and we lost 2-1 away to Stoke on the last game of the season. Yeah. If we had won both those games, we got Champions League football. You look at 2021, the COVID season, we were 4th the whole time. We were actually 3rd, because I remember I was working with a Chelsea fan, and he was giving me grief all season about how they were going to finish above us. And I actually printed out the top 4 of the table when we were 3rd, and I posted it to our address, like FAO, the manager, and he opened it and just saw the league, and I'd highlighted West Ham above Chelsea, and all I heard was roaring laughter. But that's the point. Like, we were knocking about with them the whole time. The season after that, we were 4th at like Christmas time. So this isn't a new phenomenon. And you look at the squad we've got now, there's no reason we can't punch up there again. And with a fair wind, if things fall our way, as they did for Villa last season, they got lucky that Spurs kind of fell apart. Chelsea were rubbish. United were rubbish. Like, Villa had a fair wind last year. Take nothing away from them, they deserved it. But if that happens for West Ham this season, don't be surprised if we're up there punching for it. So it's a very, I've gone on a few tangents there, but the line for me, I think, is 10th. But I still think I'd be disappointed with 10th.
It's a tough one for me because, again, I try to be realistic, but then I take what others say into account and all the things that have happened, right? So, again, I'm not going to mention his name because I'm over it. But the last guy we had at the helm, people said he was incredibly shit, incredibly bad, and Lopetegui is a clear upgrade. So, for me, anything worse than 10th, in my opinion, that's a failure to me, especially now with the squad we have. But, again, expectations are weird because I personally don't rate Lopetegui as high as many others do. I think it's a sideways step at best. But, again, that sideways step could still mean 9th, 8th, maybe. And I would take that personally. But it would prove me wrong to a point.
I was going to say that side, just very quickly, I was going to say that sideways step managerial, that's like a valid opinion. Like, that's totally fair. But if that sideways step managerially has enabled us to buy the players that we've now bought, if 9th was where we finished last season and we were awful from January, like it was a really, really hard watch for about 4 months, then surely you got to look at that and go, we were actually only a handful of points off of like 6th and 7th. So,
and that's why I keep reiterating that it's now down to Lopetegui because he's gotten the players. Yeah. It's now time to do something with it. As with some other managers throughout our history haven't really had the privilege of, I'm not going to say get what he wants because he is the head coach and obviously he does have a bit of say. But again, it's all down to him. And I'm trying to keep my expectations realistic. So but it's hard with the squad we have. I genuinely think we have very close to a top 6 side. I really do, but I'm trying to manage the expectations.
Well, let me put it this way to you, Lucas. Right? What was your expectations before all the signings come in? Because I know what mine were.
Mine was mid-table, top 10 because of what how others were rating Lopetegui.
Right. Mine was top 10. I turned and said West Ham have to get top 10.
And like Jay said, mine have changed a bit, especially with all the signs that have come in. But I don't want to make that jump like we got to finish top 10 too. If we don't finish 6th or better, I'll be disappointed. So for me, if we're being honest, I've jumped from 10th to like top 8. So realistically, anywhere between 8th to 10th, and depending on where everyone else lies with points, I can make a better judgment off it. But with the players we have, I agree with Jay. 10th would feel a bit of a failure unless we made a really deep cup run in one of the cups. But again, with the players we have and people rating Lopetegui as high as they do, whether that's off merit or some other reason that, again, I will not name. Yeah, that's fine. But with the players we have, we should bare minimum 10th.
Yeah, I agree.
10th.
I agree with you on that. Right, for me, just to round it up, for me, West Ham have to finish in the top 10. Right, and wherever they land in the top 10, I think will depend on obviously circumstances throughout the year. If West Ham finish in the bottom half, I'm going to be fucking fuming. I'm not going to lie. I will go absolutely berserk because you can't go from being that consistent and then drop like a stone in the bottom half. And especially when I look at the other teams in the bottom half, your Brentford, Bournemouth, Brighton, I don't see it. I see us a powerhouse ahead of them. Do you know what I mean? In finances and in players and everything else. So I do think there is pressure on Lopetegui. I'm not going to lie. There is pressure on him. Yeah, and I think there's pressure on him this month, if you want me to be honest, because obviously the League Cup came out the other day and we're playing Bournemouth.
And we don't leave London for a month and a half.
Yeah, so we're going to have to, he's going to have to start fast, Lopetegui, yeah? And obviously, my attitude is, before we move on to sort of talking about Villa's key players, is that West Ham, it's either we're going to be great or it's going to go the other way. And I don't think there's a middle line with this one, yeah? And it is for me. I'm a little bit skeptical, but I'm excited to see what was going to happen. It's like the unknown factor, isn't it? Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, whether you're going to like a new job or something, or a new country, you're going to visit something which is new to all of us. So it's going to be interesting to see. Key players for Villa. Who should we watch out for? Jay, obviously, Ollie Watkins is the main man, but who else would you say?
I don't think he's kicked a ball in pre-season is the thing. So you've got probably a half-baked rush-back Ollie Watkins coming because they've got a bit of a striker crisis. Obviously, their second-choice striker was twerking for us all summer. So, he's not going to... I don't imagine they're going to bring him on at London Stadium. So, I think that's going to be an interesting...
He might get a reception if he comes out.
Yeah, I reckon he'd get applauded. Yeah. It would actually be quite funny if he come on. So, I think Watkins is going to be a little bit half-baked, which is going to be an interesting scrap between him and Kilman and whoever partners Kilman, which I'm sure we'll come to. I do like their centre-back pairing. Konza and Pau Torres, I think, are a very good pair of centre-backs. And I really like the signing of Ian Maatsen. Ian Maatsen is a top player. I was gutted we didn't go for him, but then I saw the price tag.
Him and Daughtry. I thought either one of them and Emerson would have been an unreal pairing, just in terms of depth.
Yeah. But they're going to have the same kind of issue as us, where A, they've had a lot of players that were playing internationally, and B, they've made a lot of signings. So I make it a really well matched game, where we're both going to be struggling with the same issues. The benefit we've got is a lot of our players have played for a long time in pre-season, or you've got Bowen came back and he looked like he'd not been anywhere.
Yeah.
And Paqueta came back and looked like he's not been anywhere. So our key players come back and started firing, which was absolute music to my ears. 45 minutes of them playing brilliantly was all we wanted to see. So on Villa, I think they've got some good players, but look out for if Tadibo partners Kilman. Watch those boys, I think, control Watkins, because he'll have 45 minutes where he's sharp, and then he'll tail off in the second half. So that's my thoughts on Villa.
What are you saying on Villa, Lucas?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always going to be cautious with Villa because, again, like I said earlier, I rate them very highly. But off what Jay said, they do seem to have a fair amount of players that really haven't kicked the ball Again, preseason hasn't been that great for them. But Rodgers, I think he scored against us last season, if I remember correctly. My memory is shit. So,
Yeah.
but
A lot of
I
people
rate
scored
him.
against us last year.
I rate him. He's good. Ollie Watkins, again, he's the type of striker. You give him 1 or 2 chances, he scores both. And I'm interested to see where Konsa plays tomorrow, because I know Emery sometimes does a bit of a back three, and I know Konsa did play some right back last year, because I don't think he rates Matty Cash incredibly highly. He played in the European competitions, but not much in the Prem. So I rate Pau Torres highly as well. So it's going to be interesting, and I really want to see what that midfield is going to be, because if they go like Tillemans, McGinn, and Onana, I think we have to match that to a point, because that's a physical midfield with enough creativity, in my opinion.
Lots of energy in there.
Yeah, so we're gonna need a strong body in there along with Rodriguez, because I don't think Alvarez is back yet for another couple weeks. But yeah, I mean, I rate everyone at Villa, so I think they're all key players personally.
Yeah.
Quick word on McGinn. I irrationally hate that man.
It's funny you say that, because I think it was me, Alfie, and Mitch. We had a very strong, passionate debate about this. It had to have been like 2 years ago, maybe last season. I can't remember. I actually really like John. I really like John McGinn, and I would have taken him at West Ham, 1,000%.
I wish Alvarez was fit to absolutely stick one on him and watch him roll around in the dirt like he's been shot. I cannot stand the bloke. Like, he is the first one in the face of the ref. He's the first one rolling around on the floor. As soon as one of the Villa players goes down, which they are good at the dark arts, they are a nasty team to watch. Every time they come to London Stadium, they're horrible, and it's a horrible game of football. So, like, I just irrationally hate that man. And I can't explain
Martinez
it
as well. I hate him. I can't stand him. And he is the main proponent of that dark arts. He is the head of the snake.
Yeah.
I must admit, the John McGinn hate is real. I remember a game where he done an interview and he was saying about West Ham or something that he thought we was lucky or something. I think we won 4-1. I mean? So I
think I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
He's mad. Villa have got a good side, don't get me wrong, but I agree with what you boys have said about the midfield. I think we need to be strong in the midfield, and we're going to speak about it now in regards of team selection. Right, we'll go through it one at a time. Goalkeeper picked himself. It's going to be Areola. I think we do agree. Left back, Emerson. Who goes right back for you?
I don't know if any of you guys watched Lopetegui's presser today, but he did say that there's a few signings that are a bit farther along than others. So there is a bit of a mystery there. I have a feeling Soufal might start, and then maybe if the kitchen's getting a bit hot in terms of defending and they're getting to us pretty easy, we could see Wan-Bissaka on at half or a little bit after that. But I don't know. Again, it's a guess. It's a prediction, just like me yesterday. I think Soufal starts from what he said.
But
I would play Wan-Bissaka though. I think.
Yeah, I think you go with Wan-Bissaka. Yeah, he's played pre-season. If he's fit, even 75% fit, he needs to play because he needs to deal with that right-hand side. I don't know who Villa's left-sided wing is going to be, but we're going to have to deal with it, and Wan-Bissaka can do that. Jay, what are you saying on Wan-Bissaka? Is it him or Soufal?
I would start Wan-Bissaka. I think he will start Wan-Bissaka personally. I saw the presser as well. I think there are some signings that are further ahead of others. Wan-Bissaka played a lot in pre-season for Manchester United. He played 70 odd minutes when he was on the verge. I mean, he was on the verge of joining us for about 6 weeks, wasn't he? But when he was like getting close to agreeing a deal with us, he played like 70 minutes and got like an injury and came off. So I think he's going to be fully fit, ready to go. And if there's a player you can slot in without playing to like a lot of minutes with a team, he is so intelligent one-on-one that I would throw him straight in, especially because we conceded so many goals last season.
That is if we're playing the way that people expect us to play. So if we do go forward and Wan-Bissaka is part of like a back three and he's almost the third center half, I agree with that. But if he is getting forward, overlapping and all that, I could see the struggle a bit. One, because again, in my opinion, his quality in the final third, and he's not used to the tactics yet. Definitely not. He's only been here for a few days now. But again, if it was me, I would start Wan-Bissaka. But from the interview, it's obviously hard to not think Sufal has a shot. I think it's 50-50, to be honest.
Yeah. Let's go centre halves. Kilman obviously starts because he's fit. He's played every pre-season game. Big game for him. I'm going to be honest. It's a big game. I haven't seen nothing of him so far in pre-season to go, wow, defensively, he's a fucking amazing. But he's going to have to perform. Who partners him, Jay, for you?
For me, it's Todibo. For me, I chuck him straight in.
Agree.
I think he is going to be a revelation at West Ham. He's such a good player. And to my point that I'd made earlier, there is no better... we don't really have the luxury of trying to bed players in because we were so poor defensively last season. So for me, I throw Todibo straight in. The best opportunity you'll get to test him at Premier League level is a half-baked Ollie Watkins. Like that is perfect. You've got an elite striker who's not going to be fully fit. So throw Todibo in and let him have a tussle with him.
Even in general, for a new defender coming in the Prem, I think that's the best way to get him acclimated. Great. Throw him straight in.
Yeah, baptism of fire. Get him straight in there. And if we, I've said before, I think the first 3 games, if we lose all 3 games, I'm not panicking. I'm not worried. Unless we get pumped 5-0 in every game, I'm not panicking and I'm not worried because these players are going to have to bed in at some point.
And I feel the opposite for attackers. I feel like they should be bedded in a lot more than a defender. The defender they've got to get acclimated quickly. So if it was me, I would say Todibo. But again, from his press conference, I really don't know. But I would go Todibo.
Yeah, he's up for me. I called it a few weeks ago. I said we signed this gig, then we're going to get Europe, and we've signed him. Thank God for that.
It's the midfield that's going to be an absolute monstrosity of a guess. People will be mad. People will be mad either way. There will be questions all over the gaff.
But I'm going to say this before we move on to midfield. Yeah, as long as Kilman and him can form a partnership early, then we're fine. Do you know what I'm saying? But I trust that geezer. I look at him. I've seen clips of him. He looks the real deal, mate. He really does.
Yeah,
do you know
looks a good bloke, doesn't he? Looks like he's a lot of fun and all.
He looks like he can have a right good laugh. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right, let's go to midfield, gentlemen. Right, what are we playing? 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1?
I say we go off the bases. It's a 4-3-3 because again, in a 4-3-3, you can change to so many different formations. Let's just go 4-3-3.
Right, Rodriguez starts.
1,000%.
Yeah, he starts, right? Because there's no one else there. Who goes with him?
I think Paqueta goes in the 10.
Yeah.
Or is the other option? We'll get on to the third option. I'll let Jay answer.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think Paqueta plays the 10. I think Ward-Prowse plays alongside him. It's 50-50 on Ward-Prowse or Souček. I'm gonna take some hate here, but I actually like Ward-Prowse, and I think he gets a lot of. He's been a scapegoat for a lot of things over the last year. There's a lot of games where he's not necessarily offered a lot, but there's a lot of games where no one offered a lot. And he was the one that everyone turned to because he arrived as this free kick messiah and he wasn't banging them top bins every other week.
But his corners were automatic.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
He was scoring goals in open play, important goals as well. And people are gonna hate me, but I'm gonna go Souček personally.
Fair. Yeah, fair.
People are going to hate me, Lucas, because I'm going to agree with you. Should I say?
For me personally, and Jay, I just want you to know this. Me and my other mate, Kane, we are literally head of the JWP fan club. Yeah. I'm an ambassador. I am a president. I love James Ward-Prowse to absolute bits. I genuinely do, and I agree. I think the hate for him is absolutely disgusting after what he did last season. I thought he was one of our most contributing players, but the midfield in a physical battle, I just get worried. I know a lot of people want to see Paqueta, Rodriguez, and Kudus. I personally think that just gets absolutely overran, especially against Villa's midfield, who are strong, athletic, and have the technical ability. So I would play Souček because he can at least, I wouldn't say man mark, but he can match Onana or McGinn. He can take one of them out if that's the mission. And then Rodriguez obviously can handle the other. And then I think Paqueta has the work rate when he's not flicking and dipping, whatever he's doing. which
On
I
that-
want to, which I want to see.
Yeah.
But I feel like we need to every match we play. I always think we need to win the midfield battle. That's most important to me. And I think if we want to win the midfield battle, you play Rodriguez, Souček, and Paqueta.
Yeah, I was gonna just very quickly say, I've said before, and I will happily argue this with anyone. The goal for this team is Guido or Alvarez plus Paqueta plus Kudus in the middle. That's the goal at some point. We're not ready for it.
I would love to see that, but I just know it's not going to work. You know what I'm saying?
I think
until I see it.
I think you need to pick the right game though. I agree. Right, I agree with what you were saying, but I don't think Villa first game of the season when it hasn't been done is like the right thing to just do. Chuck them in there and go on, lads, let's have a go. Right? Do you know what I'm saying? I think down the road a bit, you can try that in game. If you're winning a game
against the weaker sides, I agree with that. I wouldn't mind seeing that. But when you're going against Newcastle, Villa, Arsenal, City, Tottenham, all them, you've gotta try and match the midfield or win the physical battle, in my opinion.
Sure. Yeah,
I agree. Right, that's why for me, Souček, Quetta, and Rodriguez in there for me as a 3-man midfield. That's quite a tidy midfield. I know people don't like Souček. I know people like probably watching this and smashing their face off the floor or something, but he's not too bad in that sort of with them three.
And we need a bit of a set piece threat. If we play James Ward-Prowse, I think the physical battle will lose, but he does bring obviously the set piece prowess. But I don't think we really have a lot of players in the squad right now that are dangerous from set pieces like we have prior. Yeah. So if you play Souček, Bowen's decent from corners. I think we need someone because I don't think Kilman and Todibo are much of like aerial threats, if that makes sense. So again, either one you pick, you're going to lose something. So again, if Lopetegui thinks we can nick a goal off a corner, honestly, you could argue either one of them to start, but I think Bowen and maybe some others take good enough corners that if Souček does get a chance to get his nut on it, he'll score. So that's my reasoning. But it's either or. I wouldn't be that mad, to be honest with you, because I love them both. Right,
so we're going to say Souček, Paqueta, and Rodriguez, yeah? Who's the front three for you? I think we know the front three is going to be, but it's getting them into the right positions, isn't it? Right, where do we put Kudus? That's the first one.
Sadly, on the left, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And this is the reason that I want us to move later in the season, like when it's right, as you boys correctly say. Like, we can't start it straight away, but that's the reason I want to see Paqueta playing alongside a DM further down the season, because whoever plays on the left, that left side is cursed at the moment because we've been shoehorning players on the left-hand side and they don't play to the full of their ability, and it's frustrating. So I think for now, I agree. You stick Kudus on the left. He had done that a couple of games in pre-season. So I think Kudus on the left, Bowen on the right for me. The striker debate is an interesting one as well.
Yeah,
people are split on the striker.
I just hope, again, I don't mind. I do mind actually to a bit that Kudus is on the left, but it's all about the system and the fluidity. If him and Paqueta are just seamlessly rotating in and out between that spot on the pitch, I think it can work out. But if we're telling Kudus to shoehorn himself on the left, not to drift to the middle or whatever, I think it could be a bit of a problem. But that's the issues you face when you have so many good options now and you're trying to make the most balanced side. So Paqueta or Kudus was going to get sacrificed. So again, it's a pick your poison. I think Bowen will play on the right. And then again, like I said earlier about baptism of fires and getting players in, it's a tough one because I think Nicholas Füllkrug, I don't know. In terms of the Premier League, I think I'd rather see him start, and then if we need a switch up, you bring Antonio on, not the other way around.
Great.
But again, it's tough. It's tough. I think all form, Antonio should start, and we can bed Füllkrug in. But Füllkrug against some good center halves, it could be physical. I wouldn't mind if either one of them started, to be honest with you. I really don't have a preference. But all form, I think Antonio probably starts.
I'm going to be honest before I sort of go on into my sort of selections. Yeah, if Kudus plays on the left hand side, I'm going to be fuming a little bit because I think you got Crescencio Somerville there. You signed him. He's a decent player. He can come on. He's left-sided. And I think what you're doing is you're trying to shoehorn players into positions that ain't natural positions, if that makes sense. For me, I play Somerville, I play Kudus on the right, and I'll go with Bowen up front and to see how it goes. And then add Paqueta as that sort of floating midfielder. Like
if we lived in a perfect world.
Yeah, but do you know what? Right, I look at Fulkrug. I think Fulkrug needs time. Yeah, he does need time. I didn't see much of him against Celta Vigo, and he needs more time than people just thinking, just chuck him in and hope for the best. Yeah. And I think Mikel Antonio is a player that you can trust from the bench, right, for time. Do you know what I'm saying? For me, Somerville left, Kudus right, Bowen centre forward. Yeah, you try that out for 60 minutes. You got pace on either flank. You got Bowen through the middle, who's got pace to burn also. You got Paqueta who can find the passes to these lads and all. Right, and these lads, listen, if Villa are going to come forward, right, there's no doubt about it. They are coming to win. Yeah. And if West Ham do retreat, one ball over the top can kill Villa straight away.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I'm saying?
That's exactly why, to end my thoughts, the only way I think Lopetegui will fail pre-match when he puts his lineup out, if he puts Paqueta next to Rodriguez, I think that's a failure. I don't think it will work. I don't care who's in the 10. I think it will fail. But again, I'm here to be proved wrong. I hope I'm wrong if that's the case, if that is the lineup. But that's the only way I'll look at the lineup, be like, I don't know about this, boys. Anything else, I'll be optimistic.
What is I don't want to say what's the worst lineup, but what's the worst situation that he can do? Kudus on the left and then Bowen on the right and Antonio through the middle.
I think it's Rodriguez, Paqueta, Kudus as the midfield three. I think that's, like I've said it a million times, I think that's terrible. We will get bummed, in my opinion, in transition.
If I'm going to be honest, if we do that and we've never done it before, that is brave. That is, like, let's be honest, lads, it is fucking brave.
And I respect that.
Yeah,
I love someone who's brave, but there's people that are brave and fools. You know.
I won't lie. Yeah. I'm here for it. I'm so here for it. I'm hearing everything you're saying, and I'm like, oh, let's just have a lot. Let's just go off vibes. We were talking about vibes yesterday. Yeah. Let's just go off vibes and let's just see what happens. But like, my actual take on this, right, is we lose the physical battle. I agree, but the reason I'm not saying I would do this, but the reason I think it could work is if we're playing a counter-pressing style, which we have been trying to do, like, there is no one who will be better suited to pressing someone out of a game than Lucas Paqueta. He's so good in the press. His tackling stats are brilliant. He loves a scrap. He loves a booking as well, so he can get involved a bit more. So, like, he'll be fine. And the goal that he scored and the goal that he assisted both came from when we had a period of possession and he was in the deep position. So if you just sit him in the deep position, give him that little bit of freedom when we've got sustained pressure where he can float around a little bit, and he can play balls. He's got the vision to unlock any defense. Yeah, and we lacked that last season. So the only way that I can see it working is if we have a lot of the ball, we press well, and we allow him that little bit of freedom. I think it's too soon, but if Lopetegui comes in and throws that in from minute one of his first game, my hat goes off to the man, and like, we're gonna have a lot of fun. It's gonna be chaos, but my
hat will go off until we concede and I see the final score being 3-1 Villa. But until then, again, I'm all for the vibes train. I really am. It just, once it hits, that's when things change, which sucks. But again, if that is the vision, I hope it works. I want Lopetegui to win the league. I want him to be an absolute success.
I get that. I get what you boys are saying, but there's being brave and then there's being fucking stupid, isn't there? Let's be honest. It's let's be honest. I'm going to be real. But I'm going to be real, because that's how I am on this fucking channel, right? You can't go against a 3-man midfield of technical ability, strong players, and then have West Ham out and out attack. Because what they do, they just sit back, retreat Villa, and then just hit us on the break consistently. Do you know what I'm saying? With balls over the top and down the sides. I rate it, but obviously we need to see it in progress. Now, I'm not being funny. You've got a League Cup game coming up in a few weeks' time against Bournemouth. Out and out. Right? If someone said to me, that's your system, that's your team, I'm all for it. Right? Go for it in that game, because then you can see how it's going to work. But first game of the season, I think West Ham need to be strong and robust. And the problem is with West Ham currently right now is every pre-season game, barring the Dagenham game, they've conceded. Do you know what I'm saying? They've conceded more than one goal.
And this would be a good statement match. If we can draw against Villa at home, I think that's a decent stepping stone for the season.
Agreed. Yeah, I agree with you on that. Right, let's go to predictions time now. Final part of the video. I'll leave Jay till last. Lucas, what are you saying on this?
Again, we've talked about it all throughout the stream now. There's a lot of question marks. We don't really know how Villa will set up. We don't know who's really fit. And it's opposite, but the same with us. We just don't know who we're going to see. We don't know who Lopetegui deems fit enough to play and start from the new signing. So if in my opinion, if we set up with a balanced line, like a balanced midfield, like I mentioned, if we go Souček, Rodriguez, Paqueta, and then the front three, Kudus, Antonio Fulkrug, and Bowen, I think I am feeling a bit of a 2-2 or maybe nicking a 2-1. But if we go with the other midfield that I talked about how much I do not like it, I could see like 3-1 Villa personally. But I'm gonna draw a line in the sand. I'm gonna meet myself in the middle. I'm gonna go 2-2 draw.
You've done me, brother. You've done me, my American cousin. Right. I am going to say I think this is a banker draw. I really do. Yeah, I think both teams are going to cancel each other out, and I think they're going to learn on the job to a point. If West Ham go all out attack, then it's going to be a free-for-all, right? But I'm going to be honest, over 2.5 goals is the bet of the day. And for me, if West Ham could score early and score first, get the crowd up and running, then West Ham could steamroll Villa. They really could, right? If the vibe is good in that gaff, and we score within the first 15 minutes, and we look good in doing so, we could roll them. But I'm gonna play it safe in this one. I'm gonna say first game of the season. I'm gonna go a draw. Villa are a decent side. Yeah,
what's the score though? You saying 1-1 or 2-2?
I'm gonna say
3-3.
Do you know what? It wouldn't surprise me if it's 3-3 because it really wouldn't. Like West Ham always going to concede. And Villa have conceded goals all pre-season.
You're guessing over 2.5, so let's just say 2-2 for you.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 2-2. Yeah, because you stole me thunder. Jay, what you saying?
Cheeky Desmond to start off the year.
I said a few weeks ago I think it was going to be a draw as well. I think everything you said is exactly correct. The only thing I'm thinking of is Villa have struggled to score goals in pre-season. As I'd mentioned. Watkins hasn't kicked the ball in pre-season yet. As long as we keep him quiet, then I think they're still going to struggle to.
The world is our oyster at that point.
Exactly. So, and I agree with James. If we come flying out the blocks, score a couple of goals in the first half, we could score 3 or 4. Like we've got that in us. But I don't think that will happen. I think they'll be solid defensively. I think 1-1 with a chance of us nicking it 2-1. But I think 1-1.
1-1 draw. Before we go. Our captain, lads.
Oh, mate, I was in tears when I woke up. Oh. I'm genuinely so happy for him, and I really do think I tweeted it earlier. I don't think there is honestly a better option. I know people wanted to see Alvarez. There were some people that want to see that, but when you see that video, surely like it was meant for him. Yeah. It really was. It was meant to be.
I'm going to be honest. I'm really pleased that West Ham have got someone in there who actually really cares, like really, really cares. I done a video on TikTok earlier on, and I basically turned around and said that with Jared Bowen's doing exactly what we wanted Declan Rice to do, yeah, and commit to the club and do all that. But Declan decided that North London was his place. One thing with Jared Bowen is he really does care about his club, and he wants to be here.
He has no choice now. He had no choice as soon as he met Danny Dyer.
But he has got he had a choice with the captaincy. It takes a lot of bollocks. I'm going to be honest. It takes a lot of bollocks and a lot of that's a lot of weight on his shoulders. He's prepared for it, man. And he's maturing. Every season I look at him, I look at JB and I think, bruv, you're maturing, mate. You really are getting this, yeah. So I'm really over the moon with it. I think it's the right call by the club. I think he comes out, he speaks well in the media. I think he's going to attract players. also, I think players are going to want to go and think, oh, Jared Bowen's captain now.
I think he'll attract the right players.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I really don't care about these big names. I want someone who is going to die for the badge, play for the supporters, like no questions about it. Like there's not a thought that I look at the pitch like he's not trying, he's not giving it his all. And for me, that's all I want. And last thing before I let Jay have his piece, everyone was saying how Bowen might be a bit too passive, blah, blah, blah. I genuinely do not care about that. To me, he looks exactly like the type of guy who leads by example. And if he does have to speak up, he will. And again, no better mentor to have in your corner than Mark Noble.
Yeah, I agree. Jay?
Yeah, I was going to say, not only does he thoroughly deserve it as our talisman, like, I'm delighted for him. I said a couple of weeks ago, this is who I wanted to be it. And I'm glad he is. The thing that stands out for me is why this is going to benefit West Ham is we missed the Mark Noble influence over the last couple of years. Jared Bowen played whilst Mark Noble was still club captain, and that will make a massive, massive impact. When you hear the stories of like the youth players learning the way of West Ham, that you come into the dressing room, you'll sweep the dressing room after the game, you leave everything tidy, you have standards for yourselves. It's like those standards slipped both on the pitch and off the pitch. So we lacked leadership last year. I think Nobes will be in his ear, giving him advice, telling him what he needs to do. I have no doubt in my mind that off the pitch with the lads, he'll be perfect. And I just want to see a captain, as we did with Nobes, who will go up to the biggest, scariest player and get in his face. Like when the team aren't playing well, he's gonna shout at his own players and tell them it's not good enough.
I'm sure Danny Dyer will let him know as well.
Yeah, exactly. I miss the days of whatever his name was getting picked up and carried off the pitch at Upton Park.
Herrera.
Bring me, Herrera. Bring me that back, Jazz. Bring me
the eyeball poke to Pogba.
Yeah,
bring me that.
Oh, iconic, absolutely iconic. So yeah, I think for me that's the best thing about it. So
I agree.
And I think is a huge important moment for Lopetegui as well, because I've said for months now that assigning the captaincy to the right player, I think, was very important. Even though in the grand scheme of things, it might not be the biggest deal in the world. But again, for me, I always said I think Lopetegui would be on the back foot very early if he were to appoint Kilman as captain. And let's be honest, I think we all had that thought for a bit when we signed for £40 million. I had that thought. And I'm not saying he wouldn't have been a decent captain, but again, Bowen, it was all in front of us. It was clear who it had to be, and I'm happy it's now a thing, and he deserves it so much. I want to cry right now again.
That is it, ladies and gentlemen. Before we go, I've got an announcement. I will be doing betting stuff on the members tomorrow. So if you want to become a member of this channel, by all means, just either £1 or £3, whatever you can afford. Join the membership thing, and you're going to get some betting content from me tomorrow. I've got some good stuff lined up, and my video that I done the other week, they all won at the weekend, so I hope everyone was on. So yeah, and I'm going to be doing a giveaway at Christmas. I've spoken to someone who deals with mugs, legendary mugs, Bobby Moore and Peters and Hurst and all these famous players. Everyone, right? But I'm going to be honest, I'm going to be doing a giveaway at Christmas also. So I've spoke to someone, I'm going to buy the stuff, set it aside, and I'm going to give it away to a few subscribers and a few members of this channel. So yeah, check that out also. Jay, thank you very much for coming on. Really do appreciate it. Enjoy your holiday. You're going away. You know what I mean? You're getting out the ends.
Oh, can't wait. Get me some sun and a few beers and a West Ham win, and I'll be so happy on Saturday on the beach.
Some sunscreen as well. Don't forget that.
Yeah. Don't worry about that. Yeah. So yeah, a nice West Ham win and a few beers, and I'll be a very happy boy next week.
Yeah. West Ham United are back in action, ladies and gentlemen, and we're so glad to be back. Take care of yourselves. Be good, be well, and be claret and blue. Bye-bye.